RJ Barrett has been a basketball prodigy his whole life, from many high school accomplishments to numerous college accomplishments, and even in the NBA, despite a rough start, he's shown he's well on his way to stardom in the NBA. RJ Barrett is showing what the hype was all about in high school and even college, and today I want to talk about his career up to this point, what he has improved on in his career, and what I still think he can improve on, as well as what I think his potential is. But before we do get into today's video, I've noticed that about 62% of you guys that watch my videos happen to not be subscribed. So if you happen to fall into that 62%, or you just happen to be new and like what you see, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, be notified whenever I release a video. I make videos that take elements from film essays and apply them to basketball. I also make videos that cover the NBA draft and high school basketball as well. So if any of those things interest you, this is the channel for you. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. RJ Barrett, full name Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr., is a Canadian-born shooting guard small forward. He is the son of Rowan Barrett, a four-year player at St. John's who played in multiple pro leagues around the world, and is the current general manager of the Canadian national team. RJ is also the godson of Steve Nash, who we all know is a two-time MVP and Hall of Fame point guard. Barrett was a star at St. Marcellinus Secondary School in Mississauga, Ontario. I probably did botch, but that's besides the point, as he would actually transfer to Montford Academy, where he is most known for. A school famous for producing a lot of great players. 2015 second overall pick and one-time All-Star D'Angelo Russell. 2014 third overall pick, four-time All-Star and current MVP candidate Joel Embiid. 2020 20th overall pick and current Miami Heat backup big Precious Achiuwa. Projected first overall pick in 2021 Cade Cunningham. Projected top 10 pick in 2021 Scotty Barnes. And projected lottery pick in 2021 Moses Moody. So RJ was attending a very prestigious school, and he was really good as a freshman and even better as a sophomore. In that summer, he would have one of his most iconic moments of his young career when he helped Canadians' U19 team to a gold medal, including an iconic game where he scored 38 points, grabbed 13 rebounds, and dished out 5 assists in a 99-87 win against a loaded United States team. He led the tournament in scoring with 21.6 points a game, and he won tournament MVP. And entering his third season at Montford Academy, he would actually be classified. So what was supposed to be his junior season ended up being his senior season, and he would make history. He was a top-ranked player in his class by all recruiting sites, and was the first player since LeBron James to sweep all major awards in high school. He was ranked as the consensus top player, like I mentioned earlier, in that 2018 class, even ahead of Zion Williamson, and he would help Montford win a Geico national title as well. He would choose to play his college basketball at Duke University over Oregon, Kentucky, Arizona, and Michigan. And entering that season, RJ Barrett was viewed as the projected first overall pick, which says a lot because he was on a team with two other talented players, including Zion Williamson, like I mentioned earlier, and Cam Reddish, becoming the first top three guys in the ESPN 100 to all play for the same team. He was praised for his scoring ability, his frame that allowed him to play both shooting guard and small forward, his passing flashes, and his motor and competitive nature. RJ wouldn't disappoint in his freshman season at Duke. In his college debut against Kentucky, RJ Barrett had 33 points and 6 assists. At the time, it was an ACC freshman debut record. It would eventually be broken by Cole Anthony the next year. However, for the season, RJ Barrett was simply incredible. As a freshman, RJ Barrett averaged 22.6 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, and 4.3 assists per game on 45.4, 30.8, 66.5 shooting splits. He would not only set the Duke freshman scoring record, but also the ACC scoring record for a freshman in a single season. His 860 total points are second behind only JJ Redick for the most by a Duke player in a single season. He was a consensus first-team All-American, first-team All-ACC, and won the Jerry West Award for Best Shooting Guard in the nation. Now notice how I haven't mentioned any of the following: He didn't win National Player of the Year, he didn't win National Freshman of the Year, didn't win ACC Player of the Year, or ACC Freshman of the Year, despite again being a consensus first-team All-American and first-team All-Conference. How come he didn't win any of those awards? Well, when you play on the same team as Zion Williamson, then that explains a lot. Zion was actually right behind RJ Barrett in scoring. In fact, he only averaged 0.2 less points per game than RJ did. And on top of this, that Zion was playing 5 less minutes per game, and RJ wasn't as efficient, and it was clear that Zion was the best player on the team as he was more productive in the minutes that he was getting compared to RJ. All of those awards that I mentioned RJ not winning went to Zion Williamson. Zion was incredible and truly had one of the best seasons in college history. And not only that, he overtook RJ as the number 1 guy in the draft, and RJ wasn't even viewed as the number 2 guy anymore, as John Morant overtook RJ Barrett as that number 2 guy. Morant became the first player in NCAA history to average 20 plus points per game and 10 plus assists per game in a single season, and was still young for his sophomore at Murray State. So now he was again viewed as that number 2 guy over RJ Barrett. It wasn't like RJ Barrett was disappointing or anything, it was just about 2 guys being better than him. Which says something because RJ did everything you would expect out of a future first overall pick. It's just that those other 2 guys did that as well, and then some. RJ Barrett did have his flaws, however. He was viewed more as a shot maker than a shooter. His 3-point shooting was questioned. His free throw numbers weren't encouraging when it came to the relation of the amount of jump shots he took. He had tunnel vision concerns, and people worried about his skills maybe not being good enough to justify the kind of mindset and wiring that he had as a player. However, the base skills that drove up that hype in high school were still there with him, so he was still basically viewed by most to be a lock for that 3rd pick in the NBA draft behind John Morant and Zion Williamson. He was drafted 3rd overall in the 2019 NBA draft by the New York Knicks, and there were good and there were bad things about the selection. The good being that RJ was probably the best suited prospect in that draft to handle the New York media. He has been a well-known basketball prodigy in Canada. He played for one of the most known high school basketball teams in the country, was the number 1 ranked player in his class despite having other popular names in that class, and he played for the most known college in the country. So wherever he went, he was dealing with a lot of media coverage for the level that he was playing at, and for the most part, he was the star of the show. And even at Duke, despite not being as popular as Zion Williamson, he was still pretty popular in his own right. Add on top of this, his dad is a well-known basketball player in Canada, and his godfather is a Hall of Famer, and I'm sure they helped him prepare for how to deal with the media as well. However, the downside is, it's the Knicks. While the Knicks now are a playoff team, have hope, and have an All-NBA level power forward, when RJ was drafted by the Knicks, which was, mind you, only 2 years ago, they were one of the worst teams in the league, didn't really have hope, and had that All-NBA level power forward that just wasn't the same player that he is now, as he was really just a stat padder that had the most eye-bleeding tape of all time back only 2 years ago. But RJ Barrett's rookie season reflected the struggles around the Knicks organization, as well as RJ's own flaws as a player. He would average 14.3 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 2.6 assists per game on 40.2, 32, 61.4 shooting splits. His low 3-point percentage and free throw numbers carried over from college, and all of his field goal percentage by distance were ugly to say the least. He still showed a lot of those tunnel vision problems he had at the previous levels, and while it was due to his flaws as a player, it was also about the team around him. Julius Randle wasn't even close to the player that he is this season. In fact, he was one of the worst high-volume players I've ever seen that year, and Marcus Morris took a lot of shots as well during his 43 games with the team. The team didn't have good spacing, and when you have a young player that isn't a good shooter but is known as a guy that has the profile of a shot maker, then that whole situation is really just a disaster. In fact, he didn't even make an all-rookie team that year, which in retrospective is pretty ridiculous. People were going as far to say RJ Barrett was a bust, saying that he wasn't worth the top 3 pick, saying guys like Tyler Hero, among other players in that draft class, were better than him and should go ahead of him in a redraft. However, this would only motivate RJ Barrett, and this season, Barrett is having a great year. Through 48 games, he's averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game on 44.9, 39, 74.2 shooting splits. His true shooting percentage is up significantly, his field goal percentage by distance are all up significantly, his assists per game and assists to turnover are slightly up as well, which is encouraging. And he also just seems to be in more control compared to his rookie season. And on top of this, the Knicks are 35-28 and a top 4 seed in the East, and RJ being the second best player in that team, and it shows a lot of encouraging signs. Part of his improvement has just been natural improvement we see in all young players with star potential. Another part is that Julius Randle is just a much easier player to play alongside this season. It's why you don't give up on young players, by the way, after the rookie season. RJ Barrett showed that situation matters, and being in a much better situation also improved him as a player. And while he may not be on track to be like what people thought like with the outlandish hype, but people that actually have been watching him play for years now and saw the potential in him, he's well on his way to being that star player. Now, it is also known that RJ Barrett does need to work on some things. First of all, he still has those moments of tunnel vision, I will say that, but they have improved a lot since his rookie season and any other previous level he's played at as well. And this improvement in his tunnel vision and controlling it more shows that it could potentially not even be a problem in a few years if it keeps on improving like this. Although again, it is still noticeable, it's not as noticeable as previous levels of the game. And secondly, the other thing is his free throw numbers can improve. Not in efficiency necessarily, although I would like to see him get to that 80 to 85 free throw percentage range, but more about how many times he gets to the line. Now, his highest percentage of distance for a field goal is 0 to 3 feet. So it's not like it's about a lack of effort. Now, whether that be refs having something against him, or he's just not having good technique when it comes to drawing fouls, that's up for you to decide. I think personally it's a mix of both of those things. When it comes to the potential of RJ Barrett, I think he's a player that could easily make a few second or third all-NBA teams. I don't know about first team, but I definitely think those second or third teams, he could make a few of those in his career. I think at his best, he could be a 20 to 25 point per game, 5 to 7 rebound per game, 4 assists per game on good efficiency kind of player. I mean, he's already the second best player on a top half of the East team in just his second season, so the idea of him becoming a top 15 to 20 player in a few years isn't as crazy as you would think. However, you do have to factor in the amount of talent entering the league, so it's not a guarantee, but it wouldn't shock me if he does end up being a top 20 player in the league at some point. RJ Barrett is one of those guys I've been covering since high school, and he's had his fair share of up and downs throughout his entire young career so far. But I think currently he's on the up, and I think he's going to continue to trend upward. He's well on his way, in my opinion, to being one of the best guard-wing hybrids in the league, and a player that the Knicks can be excited about for years to come. And a player that was well worth that third overall pick the Knicks invested in him. But that is the end of this video. If you've made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all those things, be a big help to me. Let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think about RJ Barrett? What do you think his ceiling is? How good do you think he could be one day? You know, do you think he could be an all-star? We'd love to hear that stuff down below. Also, if you got time, go check out another video on the channel. There are over 350 videos on this channel, so I bet you'll find something that you like that isn't just this video. And, you know, I definitely think that my content is something that you would like to check out in general. So, if you have time, go watch another video. With that being said, have a nice day or night, depending on when you're watching this, because this is going up at like midnight.